what's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'll be your host for today's show, Patrick Siepman. And coming up on today's show, we're diving into my final Minnesota Vikings mock draft. A little teaser here. I have only one pick for the Minnesota Vikings because that is my mindset heading into draft day. It is all about trading up for a quarterback. So we'll dive into my final mock here for Minnesota in a second. Then also, we're going to round out today's show answering questions from Vikings fans that they asked me during our weekly live show. So shout out to everybody who tunes in for that and is active answering questions. I always do appreciate it. But let's dive into my mock draft, and you guys knew I had to do it. I have the Minnesota Vikings trading up with the New England Patriots. This is what I think is going to happen on draft day, and this is what I think the trade package will be. Obviously, the Vikings end up getting the third pick in this year's draft, and then also the Patriots will be receiving a 2024 first rounder, pick 11, and pick 23. Then also, I think the Vikings, if they're going to want to, if you are going to want to trade up for the Patriots pick, I think it is going to require an extra 2025 first round pick. Then I also have them adding a 7th round pick to sweeten the deal. And if all that goes down and the Vikings are sitting there at pick number 3 with their choice of quarterback on the board, I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to draft the North Carolina quarterback, Drake Maye. Obviously, for this to work out, it's going to have to go Caleb Williams 1, which is a lock. And then it's looking like it's going to have to be Jaden Daniels going to the Commanders at 2, just so the Vikings do have a chance to draft Drake Maye at number 3. But this is what I think is going to happen in the NFL draft. We're going to have to wait and see, if this really does come to fruition. But as I'm reading all the reports, as I'm reading, how aggressive the Vikings are going to be, I think Drake Maye could be the choice. And Drake Maye is my number 1 quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I like J.J. McCarthy a lot, and I think he's going to work out if he ends up being the pick for the Minnesota Vikings. I feel like I've been repeating myself so much on the channel, but I have always said the second best quarterback in this year's class will be whoever the hell the Minnesota Vikings end up taking. But I got right now my quarterback rankings. I got number 1, Drake Maye, number 2, J.J. McCarthy, and then number 3, Jaden Daniels. And then I got Michael Penix as my 4th option. But no doubt, Drake Maye would be my number 1 choice. And here are a couple reasons why. So taking a look at some deep analytics here is advanced stats from his past year at North Carolina. He's a stud. His adjusted completion percentage was not as high as other guys like McCarthy, but it is sitting at 75.1%. His ADOT, or average depth of target, did sit at 11 yards, which is pretty high. But the big-time throw rate, it's second in the class at 7.7%. So out of all of his throws, 7.7% of the time, he is making a big-time throw, according to PFF. Turnover-worthy play rate, not as high as a lot of people think, only 1.9% of the time. Then he actually didn't have the best offensive line this past season at North Carolina, as why his average time to throw was only 2.79 seconds. And with the Vikings, with Darisaw, with O'Neal, and with the way Kevin O'Connell's going to be able to scheme up some easy looks for the North Carolina quarterback, I think when that average time to throw goes up, the production will go up as well. But he's also got dual threat ability. These numbers aren't going to blow you away. But in 24 games in his college career, his numbers on the ground look like this at 974 yards, 3.5 yards per carry, and 15 touchdowns. I do want to highlight the touchdowns part at the far right of your screen as, in the red zone, I think having a guy who, if the play breaks down, because obviously it's harder to move the ball when the field shortens up in that red zone area. I think having a guy that has that dual threat ability and can run over a guy and, make a linebacker, defensive lineman miss is extremely, extremely valuable. But I do want to look at his I'll call this a heat map. So what you guys are looking at right now is where all of his throws were this past season. And one thing I do want to highlight, Kevin O'Connell's offense, it requires you to throw the ball over the middle of the field. And if you're looking at his between the numbers throws on 20-plus yards, he's 19 of 32, 723 yards, and he's got a QBR of 117.2, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Well, in the 10-plus yard range, 28 of 48. It is hard to throw the ball over the middle of the field, and he does it at a very high level. Also had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. But, hey, in the 0 to 10-yard range, he's money at throwing over the middle of the field. 75 out of 90, which is those slant routes, which I can just see it now. Drake Maye over the middle of the field, hits Jefferson in stride, and throws him a bullet, and then Jefferson does the rest and takes it to the house. But this is how his heat map looks like. He does struggle a little bit throwing to the right side. As you see, he was 7 of 22 on the 10 to 20-yard throws on the outside the right numbers, and also pushing the ball downfield on the right side, 9 of 29. So he does struggle with that a little bit, but I think that just comes down to mechanics and his lower body not always being, connected to his upper body too well. And this is my take. If you guys are scared about trading up for Drake Maye, all I have to say is this. He will have the Vikings contending for the next 15 seasons. And I really do believe that. Because can I just ask you guys this? And if you guys are scared, sell the farm, send a Godfather offer, yada, yada, yada. And I understand that. It can be scary. But first point I'll make. You don't become great in anything in life without taking risks. You're going to have to take a risk eventually if you want to reach that tip-top peak of anything in life. And winning a Super in the NFL is that tip-top peak. You're going to have to take a risk. Send an extra first. Send an extra second. It will be worth it for Minnesota. And let's just say this. What if he is Justin Herbert? What if he does end up being that caliber quarterback? Are we going to be concerned about an extra first, about an extra third? I don't necessarily think we are. But I'll ask you guys, hey, I love getting you guys involved, and I love hearing you guys either yell at me or agree with me down in the comments section. Would you sell the farm? Whatever you guys think that is, maybe that's 3 first, maybe that's 4, maybe that's 2, but would you sell the farm for Drake Maye? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Curious to see what you guys have to say. But coming up next, I am going to be diving into some questions from Vikings fans here, part of our mailbag section of today's show, so stay tuned for that. But first off, I want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. If you guys download the Game Time app and use promo code CHATSPORTS when you guys are making your first purchase, we're going to hook you guys up with $20 off. That's CHATSPORTS. Use that promo code when you're making your first purchase, and we'll give you guys $20 off. Hey, the Minnesota Timberwolves are starting their playoff run right now. If you guys want to go see a playoff game and maybe get some money off, downloading the Game Time app is a great way to do so. Literally gives you $20 free. You guys can go get a beer or a pretzel at the game with that extra 20. If you guys want to go to the Timberwolves, maybe if you want to see a Twins game, hey, sometimes Twins tickets are like $20. Maybe if you guys use the promo code ChatSports, you could damn near go to a game for free. So download the Game Time app, use promo code ChatSports. We'll hook you guys up with $20 off. And my favorite part about Game Time is you guys can see the view of the concert or sporting event you are going to from the app. So you automatically know if you guys are going to be blocked off by like a pole, if you guys have the Jumbotron, in your face, whatever it may be, it literally shows you the view from your seat before you buy the ticket. So that's my number one reason why I do love Game Time. So make sure you guys check them out. Link for that in the comments section and description of today's show. But Joey Tana saying, who do you like? Or do you like Michael Penix? I do like Michael Penix. I think he would be a fine option at 11. And, I've been in the camp that the Vikings should trade up and go get their quarterback. But, if they end up not and they end up taking Penix at 11, I am more than okay with that. No doubt about it. Appreciate you, Joey, for tuning in. Eric Mott saying, do you think the Vikings trade now that they know they will not get anything this year? So talking about the Falcons tampering situation, I think that's interesting. Honestly, that's a great point. I could see this trade going down any second now for them maybe trading up with New England, but I don't think they would trade with Arizona or the Chargers before draft day, literally right before they are on the clock, especially the Chargers. I don't think Minnesota would risk a team jumping up to number 4 where the first 4 picks of the draft could go quarterback, and then the Vikings are sitting there at 5, and they're kind of like, well, what the hell did we just trade up for? So I think they could, but hey, we'll also have to, wait and see. Damn fam saying, did you see JJ's fortune tell comment? Yes, I did. So JJ posted, I think it was on Instagram or Twitter. It was a caption of him. He was just looking swagged out, had a bunch of cool clothes on and everything, and he was kind of hinting that, he has some fortune coming his way. So a lot of Vikings fans took that as maybe they have a done deal with McCarthy, or with, I keep saying McCarthy, saying JJ, Jefferson, but I don't know. I don't really want to look into that too much. I still think they're trying to figure out the numbers, and they're going to wait till after the draft. But hey, Zam fam, always appreciate you tuning in. Is KJ Too Deadly saying, hey, Pat, what if we want Drake, but Drake doesn't want to come play for us? as a Wolverines fan, J.J. is a leader. He can show accountability. He can show leadership as well. So I don't know who we get. Great question. I appreciate you. I don't think any of these quarterbacks would not want to come play for the Vikings because personally, just think about it. If you are a young quarterback and you're in this year's draft class, why would you not want to come play for Minnesota? Offensive head coach, 2 great receivers, 2 tackles. You got a franchise tight end in TJ Hawkinson. And also, you have an ability to sit for a year. And if you look at what the Green Bay Packers did, what the Kansas City Chiefs did, having Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes sit for a season, I think it helps. And I think these young quarterbacks may be understanding of that. But also, if we take Drake Maye, I could see him, playing not game 1 most likely, but I could see him getting out there and playing, game 4 if it ends up, or if, Sam Darnold ends up really struggling. But about the J.J. McCarthy thing, I agree. I'm with you. I think J.J. is a leader. I went to high school with him. Yeah, I agree. He can show accountability. He can show leadership as well. So, yeah, listen, I'm at the camp where if the Vikings get either Maye or McCarthy, I am 100% all in on both of them. But, hey, it's going to be a tough decision for whatever Kwesi decides. But another question coming in from my man Roger Bong saying, do you think there's any chance that one of the quarterbacks try to get out of going to the team that drafts him? So another question there about a QB. Also, kind of cool connecting the dots here, saying any rumors on Caleb Williams doesn't want to go to Chicago. I don't think there's any situation where a quarterback, gets drafted by a team and says, I'm not going there. Again, maybe it's like the new age of these quarterbacks where, we always like to say like a softer generation is coming up. So maybe, but I don't know. I just don't think that is really, really likely. But Joe Biddle saying, do you think that rumor of us trading our picks for Justin Herbert is real? CT-ESPN reported. So CT-ESPN is Antonio Brown's Twitter account. No, I don't think it's real. I really just think there is no chance that they end up moving off Herbert because they have the franchise quarterback already. Why would they risk moving off him? So I did see that. I didn't really want to talk about it. I haven't talked about Justin Herbert once this offseason. Always get comments about, clickbait, yada, 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 and all this. Every video I've made since the Vikings have traded up to the Texans has been coming from some type of report. But the Justin Herbert thing, I haven't seen one real report about it. So I think that is definitely not going to happen. But, hey, who knows? Who knows? Squad coming in and saying, if you could draft any player in the draft, no matter the round, who would you want? Caleb Williams. Non-quarterback, though, honestly, non-quarterback. Let me think about this. If I could pick any non-quarterback, I wanted to say Marvin Harrison, but just because I think he is a already top 10 receiver in the world. But any guy. If I had to go position in need, I go Quinion Mitchell, the corner from Toledo. He's going to be a stud. He's going to work out. Reminds me a lot of Xavier Rhodes. But yeah, quarterback, Caleb Williams. Realistic option, like if you had that my dream Vikings draft on Thursday, it would be Drake Maye. It would 100% be Drake Maye. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for watching today's mailbag and our final mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings. Kept it simple. All I had was the Vikes trading up for Drake Maye because that is all that matters this Thursday for the NFL draft is if the Vikings can go land their franchise quarterback. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in on today's show. And as always, make sure you guys hit that sub button on the way out. See you next time. Skol Vikes.